You are watching the M.A.P.S Wellness Room. I'm your host, Miata Clark. Join me weekly for dynamic guests, tips, and advice. Most of all, positive energy. And remember, my friend, you have power.
Welcome everyone again to our second episode of the M.A.P.S Wellness Room. I'm your host, Miata Clark, and I have with us today a very special guest. His name is Chris Laureano. I got that one right. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. But before we do that, I just wanted to make a correction on something I said last week in our first episode. So this will release every Thursday. Only thing I want you to scratch is the 4 p.m. So just scratch that. But every Thursday, you will have a new episode of the M.A.P.S Wellness Room. So without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about Chris. So he works as the director of the Recovery Education and Learning Program at Bay Cove Human Services, in Boston, Massachusetts. And for short, it's REAL. So that's Recovery Education and Learning Program. He runs an in-person and online training and coordinates internships for people with lived experiences in receiving mental health and public health services in order to provide opportunities to prepare them for the workforce in human services. So that was a lot. However, I am going to give Chris the opportunity to just go in a little bit more about what it is that he does, and then we'll go from there. So Chris, please.
Thank you so much, Miata, for having me here. It is such an honor. As Miata mentioned earlier, my name is Chris Laureano, and I'm the director of the Recovery Education and Learning Program at Bay Cove Human Services, or the REAL program for short. And what I do is I coordinate and facilitate a 4-week training for those who have lived experience with mental health, substance use, trauma, or any other life-altering experiences. And in the training, which takes place for 4 weeks, both virtually on Zoom, as well as in person in the Boston area in Massachusetts, the training itself goes into content on what goes into working as a clinical role, but also what goes into working as a role that you may not have heard of, or you possibly have, called the peer specialist, which is a role that I've worked at previously. And so a peer specialist is a role that's not clinical, but it's a role where that person is required to have the lived experiences with at least some of the things that I mentioned earlier, as they provide support to people who also have those experiences that are receiving services in a way where the focus is mainly on having a deep connection with people and forming bonds and mutual relationships with people and getting to know them in a deeper way that goes beyond the mental health and public health systems itself. Mm-hmm. And so the purpose of the REAL program is really to help people to be able to create their own life path, whether it's through preparing them for the workforce in human services, but also because there might be some people that want to be in the workforce, but in a different industry other than human services, to really help them with the tools and supports that they need, whether it's through this training or through the internships, which I'll mention in a second, but also being able to provide supports for getting ready for interviews for jobs or trainings, as well as doing applications for both if they need it. And so once people complete the 4-week training, they then get a certificate of completion, which then allows them to be eligible to partake in various internship opportunities that we offer, which are also 4 weeks long, where they can get their feet wet in working either a clinical role or as a peer specialist.
I love it. One of the things that stood out to me when you were just speaking was that you said helping people in a deeper way. And I love that part because we need to dig deeper than the surface that we normally do to help people with mental illnesses, or, just helping them with their mental life. We need to dig deeper than what most times we do, just kind of like throw stuff at the problem and not digging deeper to really help these people to live a meaningful, successful life. And I know you said 4 weeks. Is there anything like outside of that that people can continue learning how to deal with people in that area? Like how long? I know the 4 weeks is the standard, but is there anything beyond that that will keep people in that mindset to help?
Oh, absolutely. So besides the training and the internship opportunities that the
Mhm.
real program offers, the real program, due to it mainly being run by myself and also
Mhm.
by my supervisor who
Mhm.
co-facilitates the in-person training with me.
Mhm.
We both have lived experience as well, and we both have spent time working in peer support for a number of
Mhm.
years. And so we're part of a larger peer support community in the state of Massachusetts. So to answer your question, for those who want to learn more about how to support people in the deeper way that I mentioned earlier, there are a whole host of peer support trainings that people can access, um, especially for those that live in Massachusetts, but depending on the training, even for some nationwide that may be able to take it virtually,
Mhm.
because there's a whole host of them that we do that not so much the real program, but other organizations and agencies offer as part of the peer support community for those who have lived experience with dealing with suicide, dealing with hearing voices, seeing visions, having other sensory experiences, having a forensic or criminal background, and a whole bunch of other things. So there's
Mhm.
a bunch of specialty trainings that people can actually take that are run by other organizations or entities. And we
Okay.
actually have a training module in the real program that covers just some of the numerous trainings that they can access, whether they're mainly in peer support or even if they want to get into the clinical field that they can access.
Awesome. And so what tips or advice do you have for our audience globally and just people in your community? What advice or tips would you give them on how to, I guess, look at mental wellness and on multiple levels and how to deal with it and how we all can change certain things in our lives of how we deal with ourselves or other people? What would you say?
Well, I think in terms of my own personal lived experience,
Mhm.
what has worked for me for my own wellness, along with therapy and receiving
Mhm.
peer support myself through my own lived experiences, is being able to allow myself to sit with any level of discomfort that I'm feeling and to not work so hard on always trying to get rid of that feeling. Because so often, I think when a lot of us think of wellness, most of us tend to think of it as like trying to get rid of the problem or trying to
Mm.
get rid of like any discomfort that we're
Yep.
experiencing. So I found through my experiences that being able to sit with myself in that introspective mindset
Mhm.
and being able to sit with that discomfort is really important,
Mhm.
along with, for me, challenging a lot of thoughts I've had in my life and about myself because of stuff I went through that was traumatizing and anxiety ridden. And being able to challenge myself by getting into new adventures or new opportunities to do new things I've never done before, to connect with people and learn new things about myself so that I can keep active and going. And so being able to do that as well as to sit with one's discomfort are both really key components of wellness, amongst other things that I'm sure that you share in your podcast that can really be helpful to so
Mhm.
many people. And then additionally, whether you are in the peer support or recovery space or in a different space altogether, when we think about mental health and wellness, I believe it's really important to be able to be intentionally curious in terms of what may be going on with people rather than focusing on what's wrong with them, quote unquote,
Mhm.
and being able to ask deeper questions to people that have certain lived experiences in a non-intrusive way,
Yes.
and being able to bond with people and to connect and form a deeper relationship that's mutual, where you can share part of yourself to let someone know that they're not alone, and being able to just converse and just to really bond is really key, because so often in the mental health system especially, um, that the system does not reinforce that part of truly providing care and service. And so finding opportunities to be able to connect with people, even if they have lived experiences that are different from yours, rather than naming the person's experience for them with a diagnostic label and saying, oh, it's because you're paranoid, because you're delusional, or all these other labels, is really, really important, because that helps the person to feel validated and for their voices to be heard. And that will truly change the trajectory of being able to provide healthcare to folks, not just in Massachusetts, in the United States, but globally.
Wow, you said a lot, and one of the things that again stuck out to me is you're absolutely correct. We do look for a way of how not to deal with certain things, and you put an emphasis on sitting with how you feel and that being okay. We're definitely like in a culture where we just want to get rid of everything, and that's not really balanced. You know what I mean? Life is what it is, and also when you are helping other people, we do have a tendency to project onto them our theories on how to fix them, and half the time we don't even fix ourselves. So I think that we have to be more open to sometimes just listening and being an ear and letting that person talk it out, and being okay with, to your point, which I love that you said, life experiences or lived experiences, and just let them be what they are. And I think a lot of the times it'll pass, but we're so busy trying to diagnose everything and, stuff a pill to this person and, diagnose them and project on this person. So to me, that is very important for us all to just remember when we are not only dealing with our own mental wellness, but others as well. It's a fragile topic. And I do think that we need to move about it in a different way than we have been. And I feel that what you're doing is definitely a step towards that. And if everyone can get on board and just bring what you have to the table and just be caring human to human, you know what I mean? So thank you so much. Could you tell people how they can get in contact with you? If you have any books, if you have any links, just let them know how they can learn more about your program and how to get in contact with you.
Absolutely. So you can certainly find me on LinkedIn, and you can type in Christopher Laureano, and I should come up very easily on LinkedIn. So I do have a profile there that you can connect with me on. I also can share with you the link to the Real Program website page under Bay Cove Human Services, where you can see some sneak peek videos of some of the training content to get a further understanding of what the Real Program does and what it offers, which the website for that is baycovehumanservices.org/real-program.
Okay. And I'll make sure those links are in the description as well.
Yeah, definitely. And then additionally, that link also has my office phone number, as well as my email address there. So if there's anyone out there that has lived experience that might be interested in learning more about the Real Program and in partaking in the training and internship components of the program, my contact information is also on that Real Program website page.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. I want to thank the audience for tuning in. And as always, tune in every Thursday for a new episode. And I will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to be a guest here on the M.A.P.S Wellness Room, email us at themapswellnessroom@gmail.com. Until next time, I'm sending light, love, and power.